Right, so this is our end of course exam review. Again, this is a more condensed version of it, and we're going over specifically some questions from your quiz that were commonly missed to try to eliminate as much as we can to try to eliminate these common mistakes. All right, so starting off, I think, yes, we are going to start on number 3. Yep, it's going to be number 3. No, not surprising. Okay. All right, so number 3, we had 9x minus 2y equals 10, and 3x minus y equals 2. Well, I have two options for solving this system. I can do substitution, but remember, x or y has to be completely by itself on one side. Is that going to be easy to do here? Is x or y by itself? All right, so time out. Look at number 4. Is x or y solved for on number 4? Yep. Yes, it is. So that one actually is pretty doable to do substitution. And I had several students do substitution. Okay? You also could have done elimination, which some people did, and still got it right. Okay? On number 3, I definitely would use elimination. And there's actually 2 numbers. Now, most people that got it right used one of the values and not the other one. There's actually 2 values I can multiply the second equation by to get either x or y to cancel. It doesn't matter which one you want to cancel out as long as one of them cancels. Okay? So if you haven't already, I want you to write the number here on the outside of the parentheses that you think needs to go there so that either your x or your y can cancel out. Go ahead and write down that number. All right, can anybody raise your hand and tell me what would you multiply this equation by? Anybody tell me? Jakari? Okay, he's close, but he said 3, and that's not going to make it opposite. -3. To multiply it by -3, now I just rewrite the first equation. And when I multiply it by -3, it becomes -9x. That's awesome. I need my x's to cancel, so now I can solve for my y's. But now I must fully distribute, and here's where a good number of people messed up, and maybe this is where you messed up. What is -3 times -y? Positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. This is a plus 3y. All right, so maybe for you, all of your other steps were correct except that sign. That's going to throw off your entire answer. All right, now, most everybody got this one. What's -3 times 2? -6. So most everybody got that -6. It was the y. So what's -2 plus 3?
Ow. No. -1.
No, 1. -2 plus 3, -2 plus 2 is 0, so 1 more is just 1y. Now, 1y is the same thing as just y. Y equals 4. All right, now without any further hints, I want you to solve for x. Go ahead and solve for x now. This is not your final answer because you need an ordered pair. Well, now you know the y, but now you need to go back and solve for x. A lot of you are not working right now. You should be plugging it back in. Chloe, you should be plugging it back in. Can anybody give her a hint as to how to start? How to go about doing that? Faith? Yes, plug in the 4. Where do you think you would plug it in? In 4y. Does it matter which equation you use? Nope. Plug it in for y. I used the bottom one just so I could kind of work below it. 3x minus 4 equals 2. Very simple step 2 now to this. Kendall, what do you do now? Yeah, so how would you do that? What's the next step? Add 4 to the other side. And then divide by 3. Okay, and x equals 2, but this is not your final answer. You need to write it as an ordered pair. All right, next question. We are going to skip all the way down to number 9. The rest of that page was pretty good overall. We struggled quite a bit with the line of best fit on number 9. You guys are not struggling with the scatter plot, so we're not going to do that part. But the line of best fit is where I kind of saw a lot of mistakes. Not everybody, okay, but a lot of people. In order to write an equation, let me remind you, the line of best fit has to be written in y equals mx plus b. So in order to write an equation, the gimmies, or what's already there, it's my y and my x. So what do you need to solve for? What do you need to find? You need to find m, which m stands for what? Slope. And you need to find b, and b stands for what? The y-intercept. So the table of values on number 9, you should be able to use that table to find your m and find your b. Does anybody remember which one I told you to find first?
M.
You need to find m. Okay, well, with the information that you have there in number 9, how are you going to find m? Are you going to count rise over run? Are you going to count rise? No. No. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? How are you going to use that information to find m? Does anybody remember? Okay, we did this on the review sheet. You need to pull out the first 2 ordered pairs. Pull them out and write them as ordered pairs. Okay, so we pull out the 5 and the 15. Does everybody agree? That's the first ordered pair from the table. Okay, and pull out the second ordered pair, 10 and 25. And now find your slope. Okay, so 25 minus 15 over 10 minus 5 is 2. Okay, so a lot of you guys got that right. That's great. Okay, whoever's tapping, stop. That's annoying. All right, so 2 is my slope, but now none of my ordered pairs in the table tell me the y-intercept. I need it to be paired with an x value of 0. None of them are. So because of that, I must use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I want everybody to use the same ordered pair. Use the first one. 5 and 15. This is my x1 and my y1, and then I just solved for m. So take those values and plug them into point slope. I'm doing this formula because my original information does not tell me the y-intercept. All right, so this is definitely the point where I saw some of you kind of fall apart on it and you didn't remember what to do. So plug these numbers into point slope and solve for y. You're going to solve for y. All right, so y minus y1, which is 15, equals 2. Plug in 2 for m times x minus x1. Now I need to distribute this. All right, what's 2 times x? 2x. What's 2 times negative 5? 2 times negative 5. Distribute it all the way. Negative 10. One more step solves for y. One more step. What is it? Bailey, what is it? Add 15. Add 15. Y equals 2x plus 5. All right, so I did all that work to find 5. Okay, so number 10 is one that probably surprised me more than any other question because you guys did very well in this in the review, and then on the quiz, you just totally forgot what it was. So this is one, I want you to look at your review sheets. I want you to look at your review sheets, and I want you to go ahead and correct this. We're going to go over it in a minute, okay? Look at your review sheets, and I want you to tell me, what does the slope mean? What does it mean? In words, in a sentence, what does it mean? And what does the y-intercept mean? In words, in a sentence, okay? And on your exam, a very similar one is on your exam, and you will get it correct, hopefully. Okay, so we've got to make some connections here. Go ahead and work on this. I'm going to walk around and check on you guys. Okay, so for the slope, guys, some of you are still having trouble looking at an equation and finding the slope. if you can't tell me what the slope is, how can you interpret it? The slope is the number connected to x. It's negative 2 over 1. Remember, slope is rise over run. Okay? Well, the rise is my y value. What is the label from the equation? What is the label for y? What does y stand for? It stands for scores. What does the run stand for? Your x. What does run stand for? Absences. Okay? This is not necessary for you to show as work, but for some of you, maybe it will finally click. So the negative 2 is what's happening to the score. The 1 is the absence value that's connected to that, okay? So what does this mean? It means that your score will decrease by how many points? 2 points per absence. Okay? Because remember, rise over run, so if that's a negative 2, that's what's happening to your score. And then the run stands for absences. Okay? The run could stand for anything. The run can stand for a sport. And it could say your exam score will decrease by 2 points for every sport you play. Okay? It's not true, but what I'm saying is you could give any label to the category and then you just name it. So for the Y-intercept, okay, again, I'm going to show you a sketch of a graph. All right, and I've done this before. The Y-intercept is what? According to the equation, what is the Y-intercept? You have to be able to find it in the equation. What is my Y-intercept? Look at the equation. No, what is the Y-intercept? It's in the equation. Robbie. No, what is the Y-intercept value from the equation? Milani.
80.
It's 80. It's the last number in the equation. Stop solving these equations. There's nothing to solve. All you're doing is interpreting. So if I were to graph that point, I would go up to an 80. Is there an x value at all? Did I go either way on x? So my x value is 0 in this ordered pair to plot my y-intercept if I was graphing this, which you are not. But this visual here, right here, guys, what did x stand for again? From the equation, what did x stand for? X stood for what? Absences. X stands for absences. Y stands for the score. So put that into a sentence. Put it into a sentence. What's the sentence going to be? Sam?
A student with 0 absences is expected to score an 80. Score should drop 2 points for every absence.
Yep. Expect an 80B when there are 0 absences. That's it. You've got to just recognize at the y-intercept, your x value is 0. Whatever the label is for x, absences, sports, I don't know, you name it, okay? That's what you put in the statement, in the sentence. I don't want to see anybody trying to solve for anything in this problem. All we are doing is interpreting slope and y-intercept. You're going to go quickly. Number 16, I am not doing the exact problem. I'm doing a different one because I'm not going to work the exact problem for number 16. You guys can figure it out for yourself. Someone raise your hand and tell me, how do I make a negative exponent positive? Sam. Flip it in the fraction. Put it over 1. And then to make it positive, I move it to the opposite side of the fraction and I evaluate. What is 8 squared? 64. Your answer is 1 over 64. All right, so now you can correct number 16. Now you can correct number 16. All right, number 18. I'm going to make a small change to number 18. Number 18, I actually, on your portals, your grades are 4 points higher because I did not count number 18 in the portal. So number 18 is marked wrong here. I want you to make a change to it. I want you to make the exponents the same. The first one, 10 to the 3rd power, go ahead and change it to 10 to the 5th power. This more closely aligns with the question you're going to see on your exam tomorrow. Okay, if your exponents are different, there's another step in there. We don't have time to go over it. Okay? So now that my exponents are the same, what can I do to simplify this scientific notation? What can I do? What do? I don't need to move any decimals. I can add my decimal values together. 3.6 plus 2.4, and then keep your common exponent. Keep your common exponent. So, anybody know what's 3.6 plus 2.4? You don't need a calculator. What's 3.6 plus 2.4? Really, I only used the calculator for one problem yesterday on this quiz. Okay, so we need to loosen our dependency on the calculators. Sam, what did you get?
6.
6 times 10 to the 5th. All right, you don't have to have the 0.0. Okay, number 23, many of you only wrote an answer. You actually need an equation. X equals 0.6 repeating. All right, we're not going to have enough time to finish this one, but let's get it started. What would I multiply? It's either 10 or 100, guys. What would I multiply both sides by? 10, because there's one digit repeating. 10x equals, what's my value going to be on the right side? 6.6 repeating. And now you must subtract something. And this is where I'm going to leave off. You have to subtract something from both sides. All right, actually, I'm going to go ahead and finish it. What do you subtract from both sides? The original equation. X equals 0.6 repeating. And now 9x equals 6. And you can finish solving. Okay? So this is how you would work a similar problem on your test tomorrow. Now, what if there's 2 repeating digits on your test tomorrow? Hint. Multiply by 100 and solve it the exact same way. Okay? All right. So your test is tomorrow. This is so important, guys. Rewatch this video. Finish your quiz corrections. Come to help class this afternoon. Do what you need to do to get that grade up to an A or B, or at the very minimum to get it back to a passing grade.